Okay, welcome back to JMC Live. We're having a wonderful time with Jeremy Reynolds right now. And Jeremy, do you want to expound upon more of how too many Christians have lost focus on... They're getting all, wrapped up in the whole political stream on whether someone is a Republican or an independent or a liberal or a conservative. And Jesus reaches both spectrums. He reaches everybody.
He absolutely does, Jeremy. And you know what? For so many years, I was so guilty for being, for preaching what I call the gospel of no. And I think we have a chapter in one of my books called, that was, again, as we've discussed, probably ad nauseum to some of our viewers and listeners. It was like, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you just have to be like an evangelical right-wing Republican. I quit going to a local church. I had attended for some time, or rather, I quit going to that church, quit hanging out with a group of people after that, because basically some of the sort of after-church fellowship in a small group tended to revolve around the fact of having to be the evangelical Christian Republican. Well, some views on Republican, some views on Democrat, and I just want to take the outlook. I just want to think. I want to be a thinking Christian. I want to take the viewpoint which is closer to what I believe Jesus would have done if he was alive here on earth. Sometimes it's Republican, sometimes it's Christian, sometimes it's neither. And it just disturbs me again that we're just known as being such an unloving people. So one of the things we want to do at Joy Junction is just to show God's love, just to reach out with his love. It's like years ago, I was at a convention. I was like a substitute speaker for a workshop. And so I talked about the fact how at Joy Junction we have always believed in having, in sharing a meal. So in other words, sharing a meal with somebody who's homeless or a family who's homeless before you have them listen to a gospel service. And I asked the other individuals, this was some years ago in the room, I said, at your mission, do you share a meal first? Did you make somebody listen to a gospel service before you give them a meal? Because to me, Jeremy, how can you hear me saying, you know what, Jeremy, God really loves you, brother. He sent his son Jesus to die for you. It's, and then, but meanwhile, why are you hearing me say that? Your stomach is rumbling, and maybe you smell some burgers cooking in the kitchen, and you're going, I wish that dude would just shut up and would just, feed me, and then tell me how much Jesus loves me. So at Joy Junction, what we always do, we always make sure somebody is fed. They're showing the physical love of Jesus Christ before we show them the spiritual love. But a seminar was that. I asked these folks, I said, okay, all of you have taught me. You mandate or you require that somebody hears a gospel sermon about the love of Jesus Christ before you give somebody a meal. I said, may I ask you why that is? And the answer was, Jerry, that's the way we've always done it. I'm like, couldn't you, change it? And they had no answer. And again, it's like most missions also, Jeremy. At Joy Junction, we feed, I think I'm right in saying this, we feed breakfast in a weekday at 7. We feed breakfast at the weekend at 8. That is very, very late for missions. Many missions around the country feed at 5 or 6. We used to feed at 6 up until 18 months or 2 years ago. Until a very dear friend and a former colleague of mine, she said, why do we feed breakfast at 6 o'clock? I said, well, that's the way we've always done it. I said, that's the way the missions do it. She said, well, I don't work for any old mission. I work for Joy Junction. So why don't we think about changing it? What could you think, Jeremy? Most people that stay at missions, they're going to work at jobs, more than likely, at the lower end of the spectrum. They may be applying for work at a fast food restaurant or, something where more than likely a manager isn't going to be in until probably no earlier than 10 or 11 in the morning, right?
Exactly.
So if we ask somebody, or if we feed somebody breakfast at 5 or 6, we have them out in the streets at 6 or 7, what do they have to do for 3 hours other than to get into trouble? It's ridiculous. But why do missions do that? Because it makes it easier for missions. I was appalled, Jeremy, last Christmas to see the amount of groups of social service agencies and whatever that were like closed at Christmas. I'm like going, my word, why are we closing or scaling down services at Christmas? When are some of the worst points in time for needy clients? Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, July the 4th, Memorial Day. When all of us are going, yes, it's such a great time. Jesus is just blessing me. Having a hallelujah time to him. Well, all of our unsaved friends, almost quite literally, go to hell in a handbasket because we have to be with our families. You know, in evangelical Christendom, Jeremy, we have almost made an unholy God of the word family. Because, you know, it's God, family, and then work. Well, that's okay. Mm-hmm. But don't you think sometimes we put our family, we want to spend time with our family, but what about those people that are in need on Christmas Day? What about those people that are in need on Thanksgiving Day?
Exactly.
So many agencies, Jeremy, are closed. And to me, it's unconscionable. At Christmas and Thanksgiving, we as Christians should step up our efforts to the needy, to the homeless. And we should be stepping it up in every holiday. In fact, when the world has a good time, that makes the going and, the radio, the media, the TV, the old place are having a good time. Like the Joy Junction, this Sunday, I know I'm going to shock some people, we have canceled church. So there will be no, well, actually, usually we decided not to have a church service on Sunday. We on Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening this week. I was otherwise occupied tomorrow. For the reason, because there's a Super Bowl game on. Because you know what? We don't want to make people mad. Exactly. We want them to know that Jesus loves them. He has no objections to them enjoying a good game also. Mm-hmm. I mean, does any of this make sense?
Exactly. You know, that I had the experience where you would get fed, and then you would have a sermon, or you couldn't stay unless you would attend the sermon. I've been in facilities where the rules are very rigid. Yes, like the first job I had, I was a host at a Mexican restaurant, and I had to be there at 10:30. Breakfast was at 6, and you had to leave at 7:30. So what was I supposed to do from 7:30 till 10:30? So what I would do is I would walk to the mall, because they open the mall doors at 6 o'clock, and I would walk around from 6 o'clock to 9:30, and then walk the last hour, because it was like a 2.5 mile, 3 mile walk one way across the freeway to the Mexican restaurant. So
it's almost like missions have decided to run for the convenience of the staff and not for the convenience of the homeless.
Yeah, and it was even more profound, crazy that happened to me is they wanted me to work full time, but working full time was past their curfew, so I couldn't work full time. I had to get off at 2 instead of working till 8 p.m. because you had to be there at 7 p.m. for the Bible study. And even the owner-manager came to the homeless shelter verifying that this is what I was doing, and they still wouldn't want no part of it.
That's a great segue, Jeremy, into many years ago. I watched a very profound ABC docudrama. Yes, folks, there is some good stuff on secular media. And it was many years ago, and this was a lady that was living in a big high-rise, probably a rent-controlled, I'm guessing, apartment tenement place, in New York City or someplace close. Mm-hmm. And they decided, I guess they, as in being the city council, the borough, whoever, to knock this place down. And the lady was unable, I guess, to get in the rent-controlled apartment. So she ended up being homeless with her little daughter. I can't remember how old the daughter was.
Well, hey, Jeremy, I want you to think about that story for a second, and we're going to return back so you can get your thoughts together on it, and we'll cover it some more, all right?
Awesome. That sounds good to me.
Here we go, break.